Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. We did a brief video this morning on psychology and conditioning, and if you haven't watched that yet, I do encourage you to check that out. But here we're going to do some technical analysis now. So we're going to jump right into our Bitstamp chart on the 4-hour, and we're going to take a look at some key indicators here as well. First off, I want to start by saying we did fib from the, essentially we got that move up, came back down, retraced, fib from the bottom point there, and that's going to be at like 68.50 up to our top out point up here at 70, was it 875, depending on what exchange you look at. And we came all the way down to the 786, which is where we were talking about taking a position from after we had blown past the 618. We weren't confident that the market was going to reverse here, so we talked about coming down at the 786. Did not take that position, unfortunately. I just missed it. It was front run by like $50. Not that big of a deal though. We got the bounce straight up and a massive move to the upside, and look where we came to, exactly up to the 886 from this swing right here. So that's why I always use 786 and 886, and obviously 618. You know, really all the fib levels are crucial, and I encourage you to use them if you're not, or at least research them so you can learn a little bit about it. And you'll see that was also, that push up there was exactly to the white 618. You see our white 618 right here? Our last rejection on that massive move up was to the 0.5. We came back down. We got the massive move up to the 618 this time. So again, it's another rejection off of a key fib level. Okay, unfortunately, I did not get the short in because this all happened while I was asleep. So I did not have a great entry, although I may take a continuation short after we literally just got rejected immediately and sold back off from the 886 straight down to the 0.5 and closed below all major moving averages. We did make it above this downward sloping resistance line that we had, and you know, we do consider that to be an important line. When we broke above that before, well, previously we had a little consolidation above and then a dump, and then we had the big pump above where everybody got bullish, and then we just dumped back above it or below it, and then here we moved above and kind of got the push up, and we got basically just rejected, you know, right at it. So we'll see what happens here. I am not expecting continuation to the upside after such a massive rejection, although we could potentially take out this high. If we do take out this high, I will take a continuation long position with a tight stop loss, just in case we do get continuation, at which point in time I would expect us to come up to probably like the 1.618 at like 83.78. But who knows? I mean, we can make it back up to like 9,300 even. But again, I'm not getting bullish off this move right here for multiple reasons. First off, I would like to take a look down here at the TJD WAE, Water Atar Explosion. It's basically like a volume weighted you know, analysis for our moves, and then gives you, you know, basically like the green if it's a, you know, positive volume move, red and orange if it's like you know, negative or downward volume move, and then we have essentially like a trend indicator in the form of the moving average, which changes colors. The explosion line is the blue down here at the bottom, and what you're looking for is, and you can change this depending on what market you're looking at, crypto or altcoins, that level of the explosion line, because what you're looking for is volume at least over top of that line. And depending on what exchange you're on too, that's going to make a big difference as well. You don't want to use something like Kraken for that. You want to use a larger exchange for most of these indicators that use volume. So as you can see, you know, that big move up there, look at the volume on it, and then look, we're not getting like the continuation of strength. We may, you know, accumulate like this and then get another move up or whatever. It's possible, but I don't know. It doesn't look, this does not look great to me. These don't line up to me. We get this volume come in for a push up, and then this doesn't line. This is a big candle and about the same, and this was a push up and half of it sold off, and only this much volume came in. There was no sell off on this candle. There was almost no sell off on any of these candles, and look how much volume came in. So like, you got to assume that at least like half of this candle was probably from here to here, and then the sell off, maybe 2/3 of that candle. So it took barely any money to push that up. So essentially, to me, that's just like that's a stop hunt, or, you know, essentially a spring. So we'll see what happens here with the continuation, to the upside or, back to the downside. But again, I'm not getting bullish on this thing just yet. And now let's look at the TJD VPCI volume price confirmation. And again, you'll see this thing has not been getting much. I mean, it gets the moves great. You could see it was calling out here. There was volume coming in, but it wasn't convincing yet. And then we got the big stab down here. And that's essentially, we got the divergence here, and that was like our bottoming. But this is essentially just telling you, we're very near to the bottom. Here we got the single one, which, we're in a downtrend, so the red is going to be more reliable. When we pop up, it's more likely to get less red signals, and they're more likely to be reliable. So when we got that single one, you're thinking, okay, this is probably it. And then it comes down. Now look, we got nothing after that. We were slowly creeping to the upside, back above the zero line, as price was selling off. And that's not good. So now when we get this pop up right here, what you would expect to see is some kind of signal, essentially, like, that was like a powerful move and we could potentially be topping out, or continuation, like a big cross where the blue goes above the orange, and signals essentially like that we're going into an uptrend or whatever, and we got none of that. So again, that's another volume weighted indicator that's telling us. And then finally the TJD OBV, it's the on balance volume. Again, if you check this thing out, once it flips red, it's essentially like telling you there's more selling in the market than there is buying, based on price, volume, etc. And I mean, we got this basically like green where it sloped up, and it's color change, so it's just easier on the eyes. You just glance at it and see what's going on. But it's color change, like the green slope is moving to the upside, and you'll see, it moved all the way up here. We got all this and almost no price action out of it. That was a few $100 move there, maybe 10%, whatever. And then when we're selling off here, that's red, and look, we're getting, that took us all the way back down to the 786, and look how it changed the actual indicator. So we, again, we're clearly in a downtrend, because if this lasted as long as the green did right here, we'd be way lower. And that's potentially what's going to happen, because overall, typically you're going to see the red last longer than the green and do more damage to price action, because we are in a downtrend. Now again, we could pop up here, we could get continuation, but assuming that large sell-off right there and all the resistance overhead, it's like every single point we make it to is going to be just a struggle to get past, because it's just a potential shorting opportunity, for anybody looking at this market as like, the reversal of the relief rally, versus like the reversal of the overall whole entire bear trend that we're in, depending on what time frame, longer time frames. So I would expect continuation on all three of our volume-weighted indicators. These are all very strong indicators and very reliable. So at this point in time, this is not going to change my view on the market at all. It was a nice little pop to the upside, and there is potential in the long term that we could see this as a reversal point. Like we said, this is a key level, key Fibonacci level, key support level. So there is potential for us to move to the upside, and we are kind of getting squeezed into the end of this like downward sloping channel. But again, I would not get bullish on this. And this candle looks like an indecision candle the more and more as it starts to play out. You know what I mean? We'll see how the daily closes, but this could easily just end up as a rejection doji, and then we could get, basically, depending how your channel is drawn. This one is an old chart, but basically you could. I'm not sure how I don't like to change these things. That's why I have a few of them. But I mean, you could basically just pull that channel right up there, and that looks pretty darn good to me. And it basically looks like we just got rejected off of the median line. Yeah, honestly, that looks probably like how the channel really has played out. This is months old. I haven't touched this chart forever. I just switched it up because my other one was annoying me how much junk was on it, and now here this has got a ton too. But anyway, back to the technical analysis. Here, like I said, it looks like we just, pushed up here, sold off, got rejected off the key fib levels, got rejected off of the heart line of our channel, which honestly, I don't want to get too picky with this stuff, but I feel like this is that looks like really good to me. Yeah, that was a stab out of the bottom. That came up, rejection off the heart line, potential reversal in the market. Off some of these key levels. As you can see, man, I must have been really bearish when I drew this, because I had like low targets down here. But yeah, I know what this was. I drew out 3 potential possibilities if we continue to the downside. If we bottomed out at the 786, the 886, or the 618. Okay, that's what that was. But anyway, so there. I mean, we basically have it, broken down, and nothing has really changed on the long term. And here's a perfect example on the longer time frame. You see this like sell off come in here massive, and then we get like the two big VPCI signals here. We get the four big VPI signals here. We get the three VPI signals here. Like if this move, well, I don't know. Honestly, on the longer time frame, daily, it's acting like this could continue. Water tower explosion is basically saying what we were saying on the longer time frame. So, I mean, look at how pathetic this volume is in here. There is just absolutely no volume. It looks like this area right here, right before we get a dump. So, maybe this was a rejection, and then we get the dump, retest this bottom trend line, and then I'll be, yeah, that looks pretty good right there. This looks like this would interest me because potentially a retest of this bottom trend line, and especially if it lined up with something like the 1.618, yeah, I mean, something like that could start looking pretty good. We'll see again. We got to see how this all plays out. I mean, we could continue to the upside and get the move all the way back to the top of the channel. And I guess like a key thing to identify right now would probably be like when I would expect this reversal. Now look, we got rejected off the 886. We came down 1 to the 786, 2 to the 618, 3 to the 0.5. Okay, so that's 3 fib levels down. So it's not unrealistic to think that we could bounce back up either to 75, 79, or even come back up and test all the way up to 7,700. So I'm not convinced this thing just starts selling off and we get the complete dump right away or anything. And I don't want to give that impression by any means. This is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. But we could easily move back up here, even take out this high and, get our continuation to the top of the channel retest. And I think 9,300 would be like our overall, full-on rejection zone where I would be like super comfortable like getting back into my shorts from. And full disclosure, I don't really have any substantial positions right now. I had a great short and it played out, and I didn't have to worry about jumping back into any massive positions. I took a couple little swings here and there, nothing too crazy. But right now, I'm basically just protecting my capital and looking for the next big move and perfect entry. We had like essentially like 3 absolutely amazing trades this year, and did some substantial work on our trading account capital, increasing it, and we're looking to do the exact same thing next year and extrapolate that. So honestly, I would prefer crypto and Bitcoin and markets to move to the upside, but regardless of what happens, we're prepared to make money on the way up and the way down. All I'm asking for is, continued volatility.